Scott McTominay and Anthony Dos Santos are the two major returnees as we do get into FA Cup semi-final action, where we take on Coventry on Sunday. It's an important game. It's all or nothing for Manchester United, and Erik Ten Hag has made it clear that the intention and focus is to win this FA Cup semi-final clash without taking this Coventry team lightly, because they know what they are capable of. It's going to be an important game for Manchester United because, first of all, it is the only chance we have for silverware this season. And the fact that we finished in the final last season, to lose to Manchester City, it is only fair to believe that we do want to push this time and win that. No, honestly, I think it's extremely possible. But let's get into the team news because that's where we are. So the boss confirmed that, first of all, we are going to we are likely to have Scott McTominay, whereas he hasn't trained for the entire week. He's expected to train tomorrow, and they expect to have him back in the team. But Anthony has been training for the whole for the whole week, and he gave an interview, Anthony, and he was speaking about how it has been for him, how he feels his confidence is returning, and he actually promised Man United supporters that he's going to be soon giving them the moments they were hoping from him. He knows it has not been going well for him, but he feels that his confidence is returning now, and he feels that the things he wants to do on the ball are beginning to come up. It's beginning to open up and let out for him, which I think is a good thing to see. To be honest, question is, isn't it a little too late for him in terms of decisions on him? But again, you remember, he's only 23 years of age. You don't write off a 23-year-old player, especially if they are Brazilian. There's always a chance they can turn the tide and do put on amazing performances. So Anthony will be back in the team. I expect him to go slide back into the starting 11 without a shadow of a doubt. I think Erik Ten Hag, I also think as part of his rotation, Erik Ten Hag might be forced to bench Garnacho, give Anthony a chance, and have most likely Amad Diallo, who, according to Andrew Nana, is one of the most skillful players at United, apparently him and Anthony, but he rated Diallo first. Have Amad Diallo play on one of the flanks, Anthony on the other, or might start Rashford and bench Garnacho. I expect something with Garnacho. He could be rested by Erik Ten Hag. Not exactly because of the error he made, because Ten Hag spoke about Garnacho's error of liking comments after he substituted him, and he said, this is a young 19-year-old boy. He needs to learn things. He has got a lot to learn, and he apologized, and we moved on from that. He also spoke about Sancho, saying that yes, he watched the Atletico Dortmund game and how exciting it was, and it's good that Sancho contributed, but it was never about his performances. They know how good he is. It is just different issues that he has got. So obviously, when it comes to Jadon Sancho, Erik Ten Hag still has the door closed out on him because he's, I think, a pathological misbehaved person. If there's anything like that. But let's get back into the game. So I expect Anthony to return on and start on the right. If Garnacho starts, he will be going on the left. But if there's one player I'm so sure should start is Anthony, because he has scored goals in the FA Cup, important goals in the FA Cup, and that's his level at least for now. If you are trying to bring back his confidence, you want to give him time in that competition. Now, Scott McTominay too, he expects him to return. Perhaps he might not be fit enough to start because he hasn't trained. Honestly, only one day of training might not be good for him to come back to the levels of a starter. But uh, Scott returning gives us a different dimension, as we all know. But also, you think now at a part of Erik Ten Hag and his rotations, he needed Scott to return, and I expect him to get a few minutes in the Coventry game because he will need them to prepare him for the full return to chasing a proper position in the Premier League. Because Casemiro cannot be relied on 100% lately. Because, and again, like Erik Ten Hag said clearly, he suffered the worst injury of his career at Manchester United. After having an impeccable first season, Ten Hag, in fact, thanked a journalist who asked him about the Carabao Cup victory and his mentality, and said he knows how important he is. He showed it last season, but the injury that he had has been bad on him. And for me, reading between the lines, I think Erik Ten Hag was confirming that Casemiro has not got a long future to think ahead of him at Manchester United. I think everything might pass, perhaps in the long term for Casemiro might be away from Man United, but it is painfully because of the injury, how nasty the injury was. I think for me, like I told you here, the decision was painfully made that Casemiro might not get back to the levels we want him. So that's why, even in these 6 remaining games in the Premier League, we need Scott McTominay to be a part of the rotation. More so considering that Christian Eriksen is not extremely considered at all now by Erik Ten Hag. He's not really an option like he was at some point in the season. And Ten Hag confirmed that the reason that Christian Eriksen is struggling for minutes now is because of the advent of Kobe Maino and how Kobe has played well in that 6-8 role where he loves to play him. His calmness and his creativity is again way ahead of Christian Eriksen now. That's why he has dropped badly in the pecking order. And also, I think because Erik Ten Hag knows he's not going to have him the next season, I think it's also reason why he doesn't give him playing time. I would rather use players he's going to plan to play with when he go into the next season. That is if he will be there. So this press conference for me revealed a lot about what we should plan for in the summer. I think we have an idea of where we are, and I think that's very important. So that's what Erik Ten Hag said. Harry Maguire has been not well. He's expected to return in training. Ten Hag is hoping he will be fit. So if Maguire is off, is not okay, that would be dangerous, honestly. But Erik Ten Hag said he's hopeful he will, because if he's not, then who is going to Kambala is going to play with what? With Bruno in centre back. But regardless, this is the semi-final game. We are looking at a record reaching a 22nd final in the FA Cup. This is the 32nd semi-final we are playing in. No club has reached more semi-finals than Man United. But it's not about those records. It's about us going into a final. And if we do so, it will be the first time since 2004, 2005 that we qualify for back-to-back finals. The hope, though, is that this time around we win it. And if we do, honestly, for me, it will be a fair season for Manchester United in terms of silverware. But big problems are in terms of how we play. But considering the injuries again, if you can scrape through and manage games like Erik Ten Hag has been trying to do and win a piece of silverware, even just making it to the final with all the injuries he has had, I think honestly he would deserve some bit of credit. He would deserve some bit of credit. So those are a few updates that Erik Ten Hag gave in his pre-match press conference. We are facing a Coventry team that is coached by a man that is familiar to Manchester United, Mark Gordon-Robbins. Of course, this game is at Wembley, so it's not going to be taking place at Old Trafford. But Mark Gordon-Robbins played for Man United between 88 and 92 as a striker, and he scored about 11 goals. Not a legend at Man United per se, but he's a man. He's a former guy of a former Manchester guy, and it will be a feeling for him, a good feeling for him, seeing that he was coached by Sir Alex Ferguson, and he has been doing well for Coventry. By the way, they were almost getting promoted into the Premier League last season. He was, I think, he has been consistently improved them since he joined them in 2017. So they can be a stubborn team. That we know. They can be a stubborn team. We've got to know that, and we cannot in any way take them lightly. And Erik Ten Hag has made that known to his players. But for me, I've got no doubt that this is a game we shall win, get to the final, and hope that then we can do the best in the final. But we want to take it one game at a time. One game at a time. That's the approach for Erik Ten Hag now and his entire team. And of course, there are changes to the FA Cup starting next season for at least 6 years. We are going to be having one game. Games are going to be decided at once. The FA Cup. There are no replays. If you draw, you go into extra time and then penalties, and it's done. And also, games are going to shift to weekends. They are going to stop playing those games in midweek. The reason is because of how tight the competitions are according to UEFA. In Europe, there are so many competitions now. There is the Conference League, then the Europa League, then the Champions League. So you can name them. So the competition for the players will have a lot of games to play, and they need now to factor in as they make the adjustments. They've got to factor in now all these competitions together so that they don't clash. So Erik Ten Hag still, like so many managers, are not happy about how intense it is, especially for players in England, because their clubs don't care. Europe at large, but England mostly, their clubs don't care about the intensity. In fact, the more games, the more money. So for them, they won't care. But it's a bit draining. So we won't be having any double replays again, which will feel a bit different. They'll try it out for 6 years, at least 6 years. At least that's what they confirmed. And yeah, those are major made. But of course, the fans of the competition who are used to having these games in midweek, it will feel different. But I think there's always room for change and adjustment. So if you don't let change you, you will change. If that makes sense. My name is Webb. This is the United Hotspot, and of course, that's a quick update on the team news. I expect Amad Diallo to play an important part in this game, but I'll give you more details in my lineup tomorrow when I'm giving you my probable starting 11. Remember, it's a Sunday game, so expect the proper official match preview on tomorrow, that is on Saturday. For now, it was just a reaction to Erik Ten Hag's press conference and the team news. Subscribe, guys, and let me catch you later.